the webinar today. We have a number of people still joining, so we are just going to hold another minute or so, and then we will get started, hopefully pretty close to on time. Okay, I think we will probably get started. It is just now 3 Eastern. Thanks for all the applause and heart emojis there. That helps me know you are there and can hear me. If anyone is having trouble hearing me, please go ahead and enter that in the questions box. Otherwise, thank you for joining today's webinar, which is titled Support Equitable Access to Teacher Exam Prep to Improve First-Time Pass Rates. My name is Jill Lentz, and I'm a partnership manager here at Study.com, working with our higher education partners. And I'm joined by Cecily Glanton, who is our National Manager of K-16 Partnerships. And also joining us today is one of your HBCU peers, as well as what we're calling a surprise guest. So before we get started, we just want to go through a couple housekeeping items. Just know that all attendees are in listen-only mode. So if you do have questions during the presentation, please use the questions box to submit those. Our colleague Charlotte has joined and will help answer those questions as we go through the presentation. If there are questions that might benefit the larger group, we'll be sure to address those at the end in a Q&A session. And if it's a question we can't get to, don't worry, we'll be sure to follow up with you in the next few days to get your questions answered. And lastly, on the housekeeping agenda, just know that we are recording today's presentation. So we'll send you a link in a follow-up email to the recording. So no need to take copious notes. It'll all be there. As we get started, I just want to walk through kind of everything we're going to cover today. Our plan is to spend just a few minutes sharing with you a little bit about Study.com in case anyone's not familiar with us. And then we'll also do a review of our social impact team's Keys to the Classroom initiative and the data that has come out of that initiative. And then, as I mentioned, we'll hear from a surprise guest. And then we'll walk through a demo of our test prep platform. So you'll actually be able to see the student user and how that looks for the student. And then we'll hear from one of your peers and we'll close out with a Q&A. So let's go ahead and dive in here. As like I said, an overview, if anyone's not familiar with Study.com, we've been around since 2002, so it's been a while. We're a learning platform with more than 85,000 professionally produced videos, and we use those videos to support a number of audiences. Because we're video-based, it's really fun, fresh, engaging content, and it keeps the student motivated and coming back for more. In terms of those audiences that I mentioned that we do support, we support K-12. So lots of schools, lots of districts that are using Study.com for curriculum, for core subjects, for CTE and more. And also if there are teachers that are looking for test prep, we also support schools and districts with that as well. And then we work very closely with universities and colleges and support colleges of education with their efforts to kind of have a quality tool for students as they're prepping for their certification exam. And we also have a wide variety of content and curriculum on Study.com that's available to colleges and universities to use as supplemental curriculum. So before we kind of dive into the next section, I just want to give you a little overview of an initiative that I mentioned our social impact team launched in the last few years called Keys to the Classroom. We established this partnership with education associations, nonprofits, and a lot of other state organizations, and donated a lot of student accounts to underserved populations so students could use our test prep and advance through to the classroom. So as a result of this initiative, it's become really clear that our prep materials do support students in passing that exam, and we really are able to help increase diversity in the teacher workforce as a result. So I'm going to turn things over to Cecily, and Cecily's going to walk through the data with our Keys to the Classroom Social Impact Initiative.
Thank you, Jill, and hello, everyone. We established the Keys to the Classroom initiative in 2022 and 2023. The foundational focus was on student outcomes related to representation in the classroom. We partnered with lots of different organizations, and several are reflected here: state departments of education, school districts, teacher associations, and nonprofit organizations. Keys to the Classroom impacted 20 states with 25 different partnerships, and the majority of those users, or those with access, were non-white. 81% of those partners were on temporary licenses or seeking first-time teacher licensure. Let's take a look at the diversity of the program. The graphic on the right provides an easy to follow breakdown, and I'll provide some detail around it. Stay with me, this is kind of awesome. When we examined the Keys to the Classroom data, we compared it with the data of the national workforce collected from the National Center for Education Statistics. It's important to note that Keys to the Classroom participants proved to be significantly more diverse than the national teacher workforce. For example, based on statistics from National Teacher Workforce in the left-hand column on the graphic, 20% identify as teachers of color. In the Keys to the Classroom demographic in the right-hand column, 56% identify as teachers of color. 7% of the teacher workforce identify as Black nationally. Of the Keys to the Classroom users, 43% identify as Black. Nationally, 1.3% identify as Black males. In the Keys to the Classroom initiative, 7% identify as Black males. Additional Keys to the Classroom data reflects 43% of the participants are first-generation college students, 71% are employed by a school district, and 82% are seeking full teaching licensure or on a temporary license. Now I'll walk you through another national campaign comparison regarding Praxis pass rates. 72% of the Keys to the Classroom participants passed the Praxis exam on the first attempt. Nationally, 46% passed the test on elementary level content on the first try, and 25% didn't pass the exam at all. 51% of Black Keys participants passed the Praxis exam. Nationally, only 38% of Black teacher candidates passed the Praxis even after multiple attempts. And 71% of Latinx Keys participants passed the Praxis. Nationally, 57% passed the Praxis exam. This data overall reflects a significant increase in the pass rate of Black and Brown test takers. So to review, based on survey results, here are a few overall program insights from the Keys to the Classroom initiative. 82% of Keys to the Classroom participants felt prepared for the Praxis. Nearly all Keys to the Classroom participants who completed 90% of the Study.com test prep course passed the Praxis exam. And Black Keys to the Classroom participants who completed 90% of the Study.com test prep course passed at a 30% higher rate. The Keys to the Classroom report findings support that when aspiring teachers have access to test preparation resources and tools, a solution for current teacher shortages and lack of diversity in the teacher workforce is possible. I told you it was awesome. Study.com is committed to improving teacher shortages and strengthening diversity. To that end, it is my great pleasure to introduce, drumroll please, Nick Belak from ETS, who will share some very exciting news with us. Thank you for joining us, Nick.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I want to say that ETS is very excited to announce that we're doing a partnership with Study.com, partnering to bring qualified educators to the classroom. very exciting news and excited to share that with everyone on the call today. As you may know or may not know, ETS's mission is for quality and equity for all learners worldwide. And this partnership is absolutely going to be something that is going to extend that mission for sure. Personally at ETS, we've been part of this work as well. We've done visits to HBCUs. We dive with preparation programs into train the trainer events at our campus. We also work to do curriculum mapping. We're always on the conference trail asking some of these exact same questions based on what we just heard through the data. But this is different. Where we have been before and the potential for what we can do now with this really multiplies the efforts. We're going to be able to take some incredible data, and that's going to really kind of hopefully compound into the increase of the efficacy of our products and our services. And we can make sure that we share out what works and learn even more as the days go by in this partnership. And that's going to affect teachers, but that's also going to affect students, and really no matter what end of the desk you find yourself sitting on, this is going to make a difference. And that's why this is so exciting. So I'd like to emphasize that this is leading moving forward, and I'm really excited about this partnership. On behalf of ETS, just to be part of this and to extend this. I know we've worked with this before, but this is something that's going to be really special and something in the future as we see the data that we get, the influence that we can make, the partnership can develop into something truly remarkable for many, many learners now and in the future. So with that, I want to say, surprise, we have an awesome partnership that is ready to go. And with that, I will send it right back to Jill.
Thank you so much, Nick. Yeah, we are really, really, really excited about the partnership. It was announced yesterday. Some of you on the webinar may have seen emails, social posts, or press releases. We'll continue to share the information out to you and what it means for you as an institution and how we can continue to support students. I am going to actually dive into a demo of the platform. So bear with me as I share my screen here and make sure everything's set up properly. Okay, assuming this is working, you should all be seeing a page that is titled Your Praxis 5001 Study Guide. Cecily, can you confirm you're seeing that?
You are all set.
Okay, wonderful. Before I jump into kind of walking through the platform, I first want to mention Nick just shared the exciting announcement and the partnership with ETS and Praxis, but I do want to make sure you all rest assured that if you are in another state that does not use Praxis, you do not need to fear. We cover all 50 states with our exam prep. So whether you're in Florida and use FTCE, or Texas with the Texas exam, California, Illinois, all the other unique exams, we've got you covered. So as we look at the demo today, know that what you're going to see in these study guides and practice questions functions the same way for all of our state exams. Additionally, I just want to share that we have made some recent really incredible changes and enhancements to our study guides and practice tests. So Study.com, as I mentioned, we own and create our own content. And as a result, that means we're able to audit it and update it frequently. So you can be sure that these tests are always going to be as updated as possible. And when I say tests, I mean these study guides and these practice materials. So before I get going on showing you this, assume one of your students is getting ready to use Study.com. We will have provided you, the institution, with a license code that is unique to you, your institution. And once you provide that code to the student, they're going to use that code to enter and paste it into a join page, create their own account just using their name, email address, and a password. It's as simple as that. And then they're brought to these pages. And so once their account is set up, they can really access Study.com from a computer, of course, but also from a tablet and even from a mobile phone. And they can log in and out as often as they want. Once here, I just want to point out that I can tell I'm currently looking at Praxis Elementary Education Multiple Subjects 5001, and you can see that here in the top left-hand side. This main section of the page is really where then this green box lives, which I like to call our recommended pathway or recommended next steps for students. So oftentimes they're going to be referring back to this green box and taking the steps we're recommending. And the reason they want to be doing that is it really creates a happy path for students. So we have created hundreds of practice tests, practice questions. All these words jumble in my brain. And when they go through the practice questions, we have adaptive learning built into the system so that we can share back with that student where their priority areas are based on how they answered the question, how other hundreds of users have answered the question, and based on the weight of that question in the exam. So as we scroll down this page, you'll see here I'm looking at the test structure tab, and that's going to outline the various sections of the exam here. So in 5001, we all know there's reading, math, social studies, and science. We are suggesting the students start with these questions. And so as I click here, I'm going to show you what the questions look like. And as we answer a question, the student can see right away that the correct answer is highlighted in green and my incorrect answer is outlined in red. And then additionally, right down here at the bottom of the box, they get an explanation for this topic and this problem. So they may just be able to read this and get back on track and have the understanding. Otherwise, they can go back to do more learning on this. But I'm going to continue to the next question to just show you how these function. And students can continue their practice. I actually got that one right, lucky me. And as I finish these 30 questions, I will then be brought to a results page. So please don't be confused. This is actually for Praxis 5005. That's just because I have various tabs open to show you different things. So the results, of course, would be for the work they did on 5001. But in this case, I can see that I got 11 out of 30 of the questions right. And here in this box, it's telling me my best subject. And then over here in the far right box, the 19 questions I answered incorrectly. So I can go back in and retry those questions. But maybe before I do that, I want to actually look at all those questions again. So as I scroll down, I can see all of the questions, or probably more likely what the student wants to do is look at the incorrectly answered questions. And now they can go through these again, one by one, look at the correct answer in green, their incorrect answer in red. And if they're interested, they've got the written explanation here, but they can also click to link to one of our videos that is the actual video lesson walking through this full concept. If we can hang tight to that idea, I'm going to come right back to the video lesson, but I do want to show you that as the student works through all of those questions and are back on their main study guide page, if they click away from the test structure and look at study priority, they now have their high priority area. So this is where the student can really work effectively to focus on high priority areas, what you could consider weakness areas, challenge areas, but what we're calling in this case, high study priority areas. And now they can click here. In this case, need to work on physical science. So I can click this box. And now I'm selecting to practice questions within that specific area, and it takes me right back into that practice mode. Additionally, if I don't just want to practice the questions, but I really feel I need to go back and get that learning, I can click on this video lessons link. It's going to list all the video lessons within this priority area, and then I can actually go to our video lesson page. So this is what one of the video lessons looks like. And I talked a little bit about how because our videos are so fun and fresh and short, we are able to keep that student engaged. And in this case, I think this video is somewhere between 6 and 8 minutes. That's really the case for all of our videos. They're somewhere between maybe 5 and 10 minutes, but easy to get through a number of lessons, even within an hour, and improve understanding on concepts. So I'm going to play just a couple seconds of this video to show you how it operates.
Some time ago, I was asked to be a judge at a local school science fair. I went to the school to do my judging duty,
I'm
and
going
there
to jump ahead just to
measurable
show you.
observations
There's
to
often text
formulate,
on the screen.
test or model.
cartoon
The question should
images,
also be focused.
charts
Many
and graphs or
researchers make the mistake
tables.
of trying around 0.8 seconds.
And I'll pause because I realize it's hard to hear them and me, but you get a sense of how things look here in the video. This specific video is just at 8 minutes. And what I want to emphasize is students have unlimited access to come into these videos and work through these. So there's no limit to what they can do in here. They can decide, you know, I just missed that concept. Let me rewind a bit and jump around through the video. They can watch it numerous times. And as a bonus, as they scroll down this page, there's also a written transcript that supports everything that's in the video lesson. Some students are very visual and like the video. Some really may want to print the written transcript and actually highlight some of these areas and save these to refer back to. Either way, they have the option to kind of use the video page and the written transcript in a way that best suits their learning style. And then I do want to mention, as we jump back to the main study guide page, a lot of the focus is work through practice questions based on your priority areas. This suggested or recommendation box will adjust as the student is going through their practice. So it's dynamic in nature. And in this case, I set it up that I think I'm going to sit for the exam June 15th. So I have that date in here. And this recommendation box will actually adjust if I adjust that date. So if I adjust this to be a date potentially in March and my, you know, sitting for the exam is coming up in a month, this may actually have me start with a full practice test. It just depends on where the student is in their timing and the work they've done through the questions. But it is really a customized and individualized experience based on that specific student. To just close out the demo, I want to show you on the left side bar here, we have a couple different tabs. So students can click on the Learning tab to be brought to all the videos for all the sections in this study guide and that are covered within the exam sections. And some students may want to work through all of these in a linear fashion. They absolutely can. They can also go to the Custom Practice tab here, and this is where they can decide, you know, I want to practice specifically Earth Science, and click to start and go through specifically Earth Science practice questions, or maybe scroll down and choose Life Sciences along with it. And then lastly, while on this page, and very important, is the practice test. So this link here will get the student started on a full-length practice test, which is actually a new enhancement Study.com has made. You now, whether you're in 5005, 5001, many of the other exams can take a full-length practice test. And because we've got hundreds of practice questions and are following the taxonomy of the exam, we actually have multiple unique practice tests as well. So the student won't see the same questions over and over again. I'm going to stop my share and allow Adam a chance to get the slides back up here. And while he's doing that, I just want to share with you all that we do have the ability, as I imagine you're curious, to track students' progress and activity through their use of the platform. So what we're going to show you here is actually what we call our administrator dashboard. And the person who is administering the program and you know, giving out the license codes to students would have access to a page similar to this, so that you can know, for example, that 54 students have activated their accounts and maybe you have 100 accounts. You also can see students on an individual basis down here. And as you scroll down, you'll see all the students in your program. And you can see their work through practice questions, through the practice test, and then also click to download the report so that you can see things and be able to sort them and look at students, you know, maybe in a more close way and see some other data. So with that shows kind of the robust nature of the test prep experience for the user. And I just want to reiterate that we really are working to make it test centric so your students can work through priority areas effectively, not waste time on areas where they're already strong, and build that confidence to then sit for the exam. So with that, I am actually going to pass things over to Dr. Smith Burton from Fayetteville State University. She has been so kind to join us today and has been a partner of Study.com's for a couple years and has offered to share a little bit about her experience with Study.com and her students' experience with the Praxis Prep. So Dr. Smith-Burton, I will pass it over to you.
Greetings. Thank you so much, Jill. Um,
Yes.
We have been using Study.com at Fayetteville State University since 2020, which we all know what happened in 2020. So it was a perfect marriage, as I should say, because when the pandemic came about, we were able to use Study.com to assist us in preparing our candidates for their Praxis Core exams and for their Praxis 2 subject area exams as well. And so with them being able to use Study.com, they have practice lessons and quizzes and chapter exams to help them prepare for the test. Um, we were also able to use Study.com in some of our graduate level courses, because Study.com not only has teacher test prep lessons and chapters, but they also have chapters for other content areas. And so I've been able to use it in my geometric thinking course for my graduate students, by allowing them to enter the geometric thinking course on Study.com, and they can get some ideas to create lessons and help hone in on some of those geometric concepts that they have to teach with their students. And also our SPED courses have used some of the Study.com courses that are in the catalog on there. A number of our students really like Study.com because it allows them to print the transcript, as Jill explained to you. That way they don't have to take notes. They can just print that out or save it and have a digital view of it, or a digital notebook. It also allows them to see the incorrect answer that they selected and how to correct that answer. So it gives them the answers to the question, and that way they have immediate feedback as to, what they got wrong, why they got wrong, and then they can go back and retake the quizzes again and again and again, which they love to do, because that allows them to increase their score on the quizzes. And the other thing that they liked are the videos and how the videos explain certain topics. We use Study.com specifically in a course that we've developed for our mathematics. It's Math 127, quantitative reasoning and applications. And so that course helps us prepare our undergraduate students for the Praxis Core Math exam. And they do have the test prep for Praxis Core Math and reading and writing on Study.com. And so it allows us to help them prepare to take that test so that they can be admitted into our teacher education program. The other thing I will say is that all of the students that have used the software, we have 100% strongly agree that they felt that they were more prepared to take the licensure exams that they had to take to be admitted into the program, and to also receive their licensure from North Carolina. These are some of the comments that some of my students have made from my math class. They said that Study.com was a good experience that provided a small teaching lesson with examples that I could follow. One person said it was a great learning tool. Another person said that they liked Study.com. It was like there was someone actually there teaching them. Um, and then, although I knew the concepts, Study.com taught them in a different manner. And so these were just some comments from some of my students that I shared with Study.com. And I'm really pleased with being a member of the Study.com family for all of these years, because it has truly helped us in preparing our teacher candidates for their licensure exams.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith-Burton. That's just all such great information to hear. And we really appreciate that you're so in touch with your students and have this great feedback from them. So thank you for all your efforts in supporting your students and for the great partnership.
Well, thank you.
Yes. I just want to remind you all, we are getting closer to the Q&A session of the webinar. So if you do have any questions, you should be able to in the top panel, at least that's where I see it. There's a Q&A sort of quote bubble. I think if you click there, you can enter any questions you might have, and then we'll get to those in just a minute or two. So as we sort of close out, I just want to help explain the way we work with our partners. As I mentioned, we provide that license code that can be administered to students, and it's as simple as that. It's one code that you provide to a student, and then it's not going to expire. You're not going to have to worry about getting them a new code. It is good for the life of our agreement, and the student has unlimited access. So as I mentioned during the demo, they can really get in and out and use the materials as often as they possibly can. We also want you to know that we're here to support you. So we're not going to just give you the license code and say, best of luck, here you go. We actually will introduce you to a dedicated client success manager, and we'll do a kickoff call with you to make sure we understand your goals for the program and how you want to communicate things to students. And then based on that, we'll see if there's ways we can help with the communication to students. Oftentimes we do live webinars that are 15 or 20-minute training sessions for students. We can do recorded webinars. We have email campaigns we can do to your students, and we also can create written instructions so that everything is ready to go and you're just sending that information out to students. Lastly, I just want to reiterate that administrator dashboard that provides access to track student activity. You would have that available to the handful of people that are administering the program to make sure you're in touch with the students. You can see based on Dr. Smith-Burton's experience, she's in touch with her students and often prompting them and checking in and where are they struggling. So this dashboard really helps with that, piece of being able to stay in touch with students. And then lastly, if for some reason that dashboard doesn't provide enough data, we have additional data that we can pull and provide in reports, and your client success manager would work with you to understand what kind of data it is that you're looking for. So that's a little bit about how a full partnership works. Following the webinar, we'll actually be connecting you to your specific regional partnership manager so you can ask questions for your institution specifically. And I think that really takes us to the Q&A session. So I know Charlotte and Cecily, you've been working on the back end to answer questions that have come in. Are there any questions that you want to share that are, really going to be helpful for the larger group here today?
Jill, we have one. How quickly can we set up accounts, and what does that process look like?
Yeah, so it's actually quite simple because it's just that license code on our end. Of course, there's paperwork to do, but a lot of the back and forth can be done, or the understanding of what you need can be done in one meeting. And then we can provide you with the proper paperwork, whether that's a proposal you need or a quote or an order form. We kind of call them both things. And then depending on the start date, you, the institution, would decide the start date. So you can tell us when you want the accounts to be accessible, and then we'll work backwards to make sure all the paperwork is done and get you all set up. So on our end, it can happen quite quickly. It really kind of depends on if there's any approval processes on the university or college side that might take a little while. We've worked through a lot of those, setting ourselves up as a vendor in your system, providing a W-9. All of that is part of the process and no problem for us to do.
One more, Jill. How do I get started? Who can I contact? I think we reviewed this, but I think it warrants repeating.
Yeah, and actually, part of what we're going to share in the closing is that you'll receive an email with this recording link and with a survey link, but also it will be an email from your direct partnership manager. So the best thing to do is just reply to that email. That email will also have a link to their calendar if you want to just book a meeting with them based on your availability. So either way work, booking a meeting or emailing back to set up a call. But really, I would say every university and college is a little bit different. And we want to understand how you're using the materials. Is it a grant material? Is it for master's students? Is it for paraprofessionals? There's so many different unique audiences within a college of education. And so our hope is that in that call, we can actually understand how you want to use it and then work through what the best, process and start date would be for you. Was that everything, Cecily?
It is. I think we may be having a challenge with getting
the questions to come through?
Yes, getting the questions.
Okay.
So, the follow-up from the partnership managers will certainly be helpful here.
Yeah, okay. So just to reiterate, if there is a question you've submitted and we're not seeing it, we will be able to see that when we pull down the report from the webinar, and we'll be sure to respond to those questions in the messaging you get from your partnership manager. Apologies if something is not working there.
Mhm.
Technical stuff.
It happens.
It happens, yeah. So I think that really then closes out things for us. And I just want to thank all of you for joining. We had so much interest in today's webinar, and I think that's because it's a really important topic. And we want you all to know that Study.com is super passionate and committed to supporting getting students the materials they need to be successful passing that exam and hopefully passing the first time. So giving them the confidence and the motivation they need to feel ready for that exam. I did cover off on some of this already, but just quickly, you'll receive an email from your partnership manager either today or tomorrow with a link to the recording, a link to a super short survey. I think it's 5 questions. If you wouldn't mind giving us your feedback, we'd greatly appreciate it. And then in that email, there will be a link to book a meeting or respond if you want to connect directly with your partnership manager. I think that's it. Thank you all so much for joining. We look forward to hopefully partnering with you to support your students in the future and hope you have a fantastic afternoon.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.